Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was young, he was disowned by his dad. Did you know that? When he was young, his dad disowned him and kicked him out of the house. So he's a young man, he's closing the door, he's disowned, he's homeless, and he's got no money. Now, according to many, that is the very definition of a failure, isn't it? That is the very definition of a failure. But was Ibrahim alayhi salam a failure? Ibrahim alayhi salam is the very definition of success. He is celebrated as a hero. So this is why Surah Al-Asr is so important, because it is redefining your understanding of success. It is recalibrating it. It is showing you, you got it messed up. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barik wa an'im ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome. MashaAllah, there's a lot of people that want to be successful out here. MashaAllah. May Allah make us people that are successful. Ameen. So the talk has been entitled How to be a Successful Person in Life. And what I want to do is just start by speaking a little bit about success itself, and then move on to a study of a particular surah, which is familiar to all of us, Surah Al-Asr, which will help us understand and appreciate and get clarity on the subject. What does it mean to be a successful human being? The thing about success is that everyone wants to be successful. Everyone is excited by the idea of progress, development, achievement. It's something that excites us, and at the same time, failure depresses every one of us, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people have received their results, and inshallah, all of you have been excited about what you received, but if you were devastated by your results, then that's natural. Yes, it happens. It's something not just part of our culture, but it is universal. People like to be successful. One of the reasons why people like to be successful is because success is a way of correcting your failures in life. It's a way of trying to get over the mistakes that you have made in your life. That's one of the reasons why people like success. Another reason why people like success is because they like the taste of winning. That feeling of achieving something is something that people enjoy, they like. And moreover, they like the consequences that come from winning, the rewards that come from it. Like a brother, mashallah, or a sister, she's studied hard for her degree, and on graduation day, when she receives her award, not only is it the receiving of the degree that gives excitement and pleasure, but the consequences, the career that may come about because of it, the opportunities. The world is your oyster, as they say on that day, isn't it? But then you realize you're 30k in debt, you're thinking, oh my days, I should have done an apprenticeship, isn't it? So the consequences of success is something that excites us and makes us want to be successful human beings. Another thing about success is that people enjoy the journey of success, the obstacles and the challenges that you have to overcome in order to get close to your goals and then finally achieving it. Yes, that journey, that long journey, is something that, inspires people to do great things in life. Imagine an Olympic athlete, yes, that they have to train for many, many years. And as they get closer and closer to that 100-meter race, and they go through the qualifiers, and then they have to go through the tests and all the training, as each one of those obstacles falls by the wayside and they succeed in that, that gives that person a great deal of pleasure, even if they don't end up winning the gold medal. The fact that they went on this journey where they overcame lots of obstacles and they proved to themselves that they could do things which they didn't think they could, is enough in and of itself to be something which pushes you to do something great in your life. Now, if I told you, brothers and sisters, that see the doors over there, behind the doors over there stands a very successful human being. A very successful man is behind those doors. What kind of ideas come into your mind when I say that? Just shout it out. What kind of ideas come into your mind? I said, look, behind that door is a very successful person. I want to introduce him to you, and I want you to benefit from this person. Now, in your mind, what kind of things are coming? What kind of ideas?
What's he achieved?
What's he achieved? Okay.
Knowledge.
You're thinking about somebody who's very knowledgeable. Yes, what other words come into mind when I say a very successful person?
Wealth.
Hmm?
Wealth.
Someone said Mark Zuckerberg. Wealth, very rich person. What else? Maybe someone who's become an expert in a field. Yeah, someone who's broken some records perhaps in his lifetime. This is what usually comes to mind when you think about success, isn't it? But the thing is, who told us that that is what success actually is? Who told us that that is what success actually is? That success is being a millionaire in your 20s. Success is retiring when you're 30, 35 years old. Success is, having lots of credentials by your name, etc., etc. Now, no doubt, there is a sense of success in that. But is it the definition of success? Is that really what is the definition of success? Now, how do we define what success is? Well, there's some very powerful forces out there that are defining it for us, such as the media, such as movies, films, education system, even our parents. They are defining for us what success actually is. Now, the thing about success is that when you look in the mirror, if you don't see that success, that is how you define yourself. I must be a failure. If I don't have what I think success is or looks like, then what does that mean about me? So your definition of success is actually a definition of your own self. Do you understand that? That's why it's very important for you to have the correct definition of success in your mind, because with that definition, do you define who you are as a human being, yourself? Now, I said something about parents, yes? Parents often, they define what is success. So, for example, beta, you must become a doctor or an engineer. Becomes a very definition of success. And if you don't make it as a doctor or an engineer, then you didn't do too well in your life, yes? And that may haunt you as well. And it gets to the point sometimes that our parents, they may discourage us from doing other things in life, which we know are things we should be doing, because they feel that it will compromise on that definition of success. For example, a sister who wants to start wearing hijab in college, yes? Her parents say to her, listen, maybe it's not the best thing to do. You'll get bullied, it will affect your level of focus, and it may mean that you don't achieve the best GCSEs that you could have achieved, or A-levels. So let's not do that. Or fasting when you got exams. That doesn't seem like a very good thing to do, because you're going to compromise on your level of attention during your examinations, which may mean that you get a less than desirable result, which then affects your rest of your career. As if they are saying that success is your career and your deen is something which is secondary. So why should you focus on the secondary if it's going to compromise the very definition of success? Do you see what I'm saying? Or one of the brothers told me that, he graduated, mashallah, he landed himself a very good interview for a top company. And then his uncle said to him, now you have, mashallah, made it, it's time to shave your beard. So he said, why, uncle? He said, no, what are you talking about? If you have your beard and you go into the interview, they're going to know that you're an extremist, and then you're not going to get the job. So now is the time to come to sort your life out, basically, and be sensible about things. Shave that beard. Yes, and he came to me, he said, listen, what should I do about this? The thing is, in that mind of the uncle, he has his own definition of success. And based on that, he thinks that it's not a great idea to make open display of your Islam. So this brings us back to that question. Yes, what is it that should jump into our mind when I say to you, behind this door is a very successful person? What definition is the correct definition to have? In order to help us do that, or to have clarity on that, I've chosen a surah in the Quran, Surah Al-Asr, which I believe that if you truly understand and appreciate, it will give you some clarity about what it means to be a successful person. And in what you will hear, there is a lot of comfort as well, because what you're going to find out, inshallah, is that being a successful person entails things which you have complete control over. And you have the power to dictate whether or not you are successful with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not the case that if you are dealt a bad hand, or that you have bad influences in your life, or that you weren't born into a rich family, or you were born in a deprived neighborhood, that will define your success in life. Yes. So, Surah Al-Asr. One of the beautiful things about Surah Al-Asr is that it is such a significant chapter in the Quran, and yet Allah made it so short. It is one of the shortest surahs in the Quran. It is only 3 verses long, and yet it is actually just one sentence, if you think about it. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Translation is like one sentence. I swear by time, human beings are in deep loss except those who have faith, do good deeds, encourage others to the truth, and encourage others to steadfastness. That's one sentence, isn't it? So in Surah Al-Asr is the very definition of success, and Allah made it so short and concise that it can relate to every single person who wishes to listen to it. Yes. And Imam Shafi'i, he said, لو تدبر الناس في هذه السورة لوسعتهم, that if people would only reflect over this one chapter, it will be enough for them. What does that mean, it would be enough for them? It means that the summary of the entire religion of Islam is placed within this one surah. That if the religion of Islam was a tree, the seed from which it came from is the seed of Surah Al-Asr. That is what it means. There's one thing I wanted to mention about success, which I forgot here. There was a study done by a professor in an American university. She wanted to study the emotion of triumph. Yes, and she chose to look at athletes. That when an athlete crosses the finishing line, the winner, what is their emotional reaction? And she said that there is a universal reaction. And you've probably seen it. When a person crosses the finishing line, usually what do? They throw their hands up in the air like this, maybe with their fists clenched, and they look up to the sky. Have you seen that scene before? So she said that perhaps this is learnt behavior, that people learn how to behave like this in the moment of triumph. So she started to compare against athletes that are blind. Yes. What do they do when immediately after being told that they have won? She found that they do exactly the same thing. A blind person also puts their hand up in the air like this and waves their fists about and looks at the sky. So she said that it seemed as though triumph and the reaction of triumph is ingrained within human beings. It is not something that you learn. Again, this goes back to what we said at the beginning, that success is something which is part of human nature. So now let us look at Surah Al-Asr. Surah Al-Asr, like I said, is a very short surah, and it is the go-to surah to read in Salah, isn't it, for a lot of people, because they want to exit the Salah very quickly. May Allah forgive us. What a terrible thing to do. But Surah Al-Asr, genuinely speaking, is a very profound, deep surah. Yes, as Imam Shafi'i said. So what does it mean? Let us take it slowly. So the first thing that Allah says in the surah is Wal-Asr, which means I swear by time. Allah swears an oath by time. And the reason Allah swears an oath, or the reason why anyone swears an oath, is usually to grab the attention of the audience, as if to say that people, they're not really paying attention or not paying good enough attention to what is about to be said. So let me take an oath to grab your attention closer. Yes. But Imam al-Baydawi, he said that an oath in the Quran can be taken for another reason as well. It can be taken in order to use the thing which you take an oath by to serve as an evidence for what you're about to say. And let me break that down for you. When you say, I swear to God, ... you are expecting me to say something after that, isn't it? I swear to God what? What do you swear to God? I swear to God that I'm going to kill you. Yeah, somebody says, I swear to God I'm going to kill you. Or I swear to God I did see him do that. Yes. So you have the qasam and the jawab al-qasam. You have the oath and then you have the subject of the oath. So the oath here is I swear by time. And the word used for time here is asr. This is one interpretation. I swear by time. And the response to the oath, or the subject of the oath, is mankind or humanity is deep in loss. Meaning that people, they are bound to fail. That's an incredibly emphatic statement to make, isn't it? And to make it even more emphatic, Allah took an oath by time. Now, how do we understand that time can serve as an evidence that people are in loss? Well, it's very interesting because it's as if Allah is saying that time is an evidence that humanity is bound to failure. Because throughout time, nations have usually behaved like this when they have received a messenger. A messenger has come to them, has given them a compassionate call with compelling arguments to tell them to worship Allah and to enslave themselves to Him and to live for the hereafter. And time again, people have responded by neglecting that call or by abusing the messengers. And as a result, they have been destroyed and been thrown into the hellfire. And who knows that better than anyone else? Time itself. As if time is standing on the sidelines and seeing people make that mistake over and over again. So Allah is saying, Wal-Asr, I swear by time, meaning time is an evidence of what I'm about to say. And what I am about to say is that Innal insan, indeed man, and the word insan here means all people, humanity. Indeed humanity, lafi khusr, is in deep loss. And the word used for loss is khusr. Now there's a number of words can be used for loss. Another word is nuqsan. I think in Urdu is always say nuqsan, to mean loss, yes. But Allah never said nuqsan, He said khusr. What is the difference? The word khusr can mean a financial loss. Now when it comes to money, as they say, money talks, everything else walks, isn't it? That when you talk about monetary terms, everyone seems to perk up their ears and listen exactly what's going on. If there's money involved, people pay more attention. So Allah used the word khusr because usually it's referred to ra'sul mal, which means the capital investment that you put in a business. So and which is lost. A capital investment that you put in a business that is lost. So for example, a person puts in 10 grand into a business, selling maybe mobile phones. And in a year's time, not only has he made no profit, he's lost the 10 grand he put into the business in the first place. What is the word used to describe that? Khusr. Yes? So Allah says that humanity is in loss, a type of loss that you feel when you lose out in a business transaction like this. And Allah says the word fi before it. Fi khusr literally means in loss, i.e. deep in loss. It's not a minor loss. It's not something that you can get over quickly. It is deep loss. That sounds very depressing, isn't it? That's a depressing statement, isn't it? To hear that Allah is sworn oath by time to say that people, you know what? You are in deep loss. And what does that mean, deep loss? It means that in the hereafter, people are going to the hellfire. It means that people are going to lose out on the Day of Judgment. Now, doesn't that alarm you? It should alarm you. It can also mean in this life that people are bound to fail, meaning they're bound to fail in their relationship with Allah. That people find themselves very far away from Allah, lost, isolated. They don't find any connection with their Maker, their Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is also a sense of loss as well. Yes. You know what is the worst case scenario of loss? Is when a person, he struggles in this life thinking he's doing something good, only to find out after he dies that it was all for nothing and he's going to the hellfire. That's the worst case of loss. That's a delusional case of loss. Now the thing is, how do we understand that in a positive sense? We see that even the Imam today, he read Surah At-Tin, yes, where Allah says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. No doubt about it, we created man in أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, which means the best form. Allah said that He made you, He gave you the potential to succeed in life. He created you in the best possible way, with the best resources, with the best abilities, which meant that you were set up for success in life. And then Allah gave you all the tools you need to be successful. But how many people will live to their potential, will use what Allah gave them to be successful? Not many. And that is what Allah then says in Surah Al-Asr, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Another interpretation of Asr is the time of Asr. Now the word Asr, it comes from the root of Asra, which means to squeeze something. You know what the Arabs call juice? Asir. Asir, yes. Why is juice called Asir? Because you literally squeeze the fruit to get the juice. So the time of Asr, which is the late evening, is called Asr because it is the time of the day where the daylight is being squeezed out of it. And then what follows is night. Now, according to that interpretation, what Asr would mean, I swear by time as it's running out. Like time of Asr, light is about to run out. In the same way Allah says by time, meaning the time is running out. Time is working against you. Time is slipping through your fingers, and I'm telling you that people are in loss. And that should create a sense of alarm in a person. That man, you know what? Time is running out and people are headed towards doom and destruction. What is the matter with people? Then Allah says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those, and then Allah gives 4 traits, 4 characteristics of people that will be an exception to the rule. Now when you hear that there is a rule and there is an exception, there is an implication to that statement. If I said to you that every person here is going to succeed in the exams. Actually, let's turn that around. Every person here is going to fail the exams except for people who come on time. Now, what do you understand by that? Is the people who are going to fail more or less than the people who are going to succeed? Huh? More or less. Everyone's going to fail except people that came on time. Do you understand by that most people are going to fail or most people are going to succeed? Which one? Huh? Most are going to fail. So by using the exception statement, all people are about to lose except those who have X, Y, Z. Does it give the meaning of, the exception to the rule is going to be the minority? That it is a minority of people that are going to succeed, not the majority. And again, that is something which is quite shocking as well, isn't it? إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Another benefit to the exception statement is that it creates a sense of, if only these things are there, then you will be successful. That success, it hangs in the balance of these 4 things. That if you don't have these 4 things in life, it doesn't matter what else you have, you haven't become successful in the sight of Allah. Do you understand that? Yes. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا would mean that, listen, if you want to be successful, then these 4 things must feature in your life. And if any one of those things, even if you have 3 out of 4, or 3.5 out of 4, then you may not be successful. Yes, that's another benefit to the exception statement as well. So what are the 4 things? إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, very briefly, just to list them, except those who have faith. And not just faith, Iman here means deep faith, real faith, conviction. Number 2, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, people who do righteous deeds. And I'm going to explain what that means, but just for the sake of listening. Number 2 is that they, not only do they have deep faith, but they practice what they believe. You can see it in their behavior, in their attitudes, in their daily life routines. Number 2. Now somebody may say, that's enough, man. Having faith and doing some good deeds, man, what else do I need to do to be successful? Isn't that enough? No, there's 2 more things. Number 3, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, which means that they are people who encourage each other to the truth. What does that mean? It means that you are an activist. It means that you are somebody who goes out there and preaches to other people. Now you may say to yourself, man, I don't do those kind of things. I leave that to the Maulana Sahib. I don't do that. Or according to Surah Al-Asr, you have to do that. According to your own capacity. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ means that you encourage other people to the truth. And I'm going to explain what that means in a little bit, inshallah. Now surely that should be enough. You believe, you do the good things in life, and you tell other people to do good things as well. Isn't that enough? No, there's a number 4 as well. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and you encourage other people to be steadfast. Not only do you tell others that they must do the right thing, but after you tell them and their response may be negative, you tell yourself and the people that are around you with the same understanding, we need to be steadfast. We need to continue. We need to be determined. We need to have resolve about ourselves. We cannot give up. We must be defiant. These are the 4 things. There are 2 more things which are implied, which I'm going to get to. So let us go through them one by one. What is the first thing? What is the first criteria of success? Yes, Iman. That in order to be a successful human being in life, a person must have faith. Now what does that mean? It means that even if you are a person who is extremely charitable, who is extremely generous, who's a philanthropist, who is a humanitarian, who goes around the world looking after poor people, but if you don't have Iman, are you successful or are you unsuccessful? It means you are an unsuccessful person. You may think, really? But all my life, or all his life, all her life, all she did is help people. You know, like Mother Teresa, I mean, what's wrong with what she did? Yeah. But actually, Surah Al-Asr is saying, no, the definition of success, number 1, is that you must be a person of faith. Now, though being a humanitarian worker is something incredibly virtuous, if it's in the absence of faith, it counts for nothing in the sight of Allah. That is the reality. Yeah. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And I said that Iman here doesn't just mean a superficial proclamation that I'm a Muslim. No, it is a deep-seated conviction that you truly do have faith in Allah. It is a rich belief that is in your heart, and it is evident in the way you speak and the way you conduct yourself. This is the first thing. And if it is the defining or one of the key factors of being a successful person, what that means for us, brothers and sisters, is that in your life, there must be some activities you do that help nurture your Iman, that help build your Iman, that help bolster it and protect it. Because when we are living in a society that we are living in, which is a society of disbelief, a society of immorality, it is only natural that your Iman will start to decline and wear away. And you find many people, subhanAllah, a lot of people come to me and they say, you know, Shaykh, I'm suffering from a crisis of faith, or I'm suffering from low Iman, what should I do? It's a very common question. I'm suffering from low Iman, what should I do? The thing is, how did your Iman become low in the first place? That's a question to ask as well, isn't it? Like, how did it get there? And usually you find there's a lot of bad habits behind the low Iman. And on top of that, there's also a lot of neglect towards the obligations upon you as a Muslim. For example, if you ask a person usually who says, look, I'm having a crisis of faith, one of the questions we like to ask is, when is the last time you picked up the Quran to recite it? And usually the response is, I can't remember. You know, I remember there was a brother, subhanAllah, he was a student at one point who used to come to lessons and learn about Islam. In fact, he used to make YouTube videos to call people to Islam. Yeah. After 1 year of meeting this brother, I received a Facebook message. He's saying that, you know what, there's a verse in the Quran which I don't know how to understand. In fact, it is making me think, astaghfirullah, and he's like, you know, I really don't want to say this, but it just comes into my mind and I can't get out of my mind, you have to help me. It makes me think that the Prophet ﷺ made a mistake. I'm like, seriously, is this the same brother who used to make YouTube videos and lead khutbahs in a masjid, that he is having a crisis of faith because of a verse in the Quran? So he said to me, look, if you can just explain this one verse to me, then it'll be fine. I said, Habibi, the problem isn't the answer to this question, trust me. If I answer this question, you will only come back with another question. I said, let me ask you a genuine question. When is the last time you read Quran? He said, I haven't read Quran for a long time. I said, interesting. I said, how is your prayers, your Salah? He said, you know. I said, no, honestly, how is your prayers? How often do you pray on time? He said that, you know, I struggle. I said, okay. I said, you see, Habibi, your problem isn't an intellectual problem, it's a spiritual one. The fact is that because you have neglected certain things which make you a strong Muslim, you have become a weak Muslim. That is reality. And if you don't work on repairing those broken acts of worship, you will never repair your crisis of faith. And that is the reality. It may seem a bit harsh, but this is the reality. And this is why in Surah Al-Asr, Allah joins between إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Because they are bound together. Good deeds and faith, they are a partner. If one of them slacks, the other one will feel the pain. Do you get that? So if you feel low iman, what will happen is that you will do less good deeds. But the other way is true as well. If you have low iman, but you try to do more good deeds, what will happen to your iman? It will go up. You know, once I was with a brother, and we were trying to make a plan, a 5-year plan, okay? He wanted to turn his life around, he wanted to make some changes. So I said to him, okay, right now, I want you to make a graph, okay? So you're making a graph. Is that x-axis, y-axis. And I said to him, I want you to draw a line about the level of your iman. So he goes, well, this is going to be interesting because it's going to be a downhill line. I said, okay, no problem, draw it. He's drawing a line like this, okay, it's going down. And he goes, and you remember something happened last year, he goes, it went up a little bit, then it went down, and now it's about here. And alhamdulillah, it wasn't as low as it was before. So I said, now I want you to take another pen and draw another line. Draw a line of how consistent you have been in your prayers. He goes, you know, I don't pray at all at the moment. I said, okay, we'll work on that, but just draw a line. You used to pray? And he goes, yeah, I did. So he started drawing a line. And the line, as he's drawing it, I can see that the line for his salah is going down and up and down. But when he's finished, I said, what do you see? He says, I don't see anything. I said, oh, look carefully. He says, oh, I get it now. The line for my salah is matching the line for my iman. I said, yes, exactly. That when you have been failing or slacking on your salah, what has also been being hurt? Your iman. He saw it with his own eyes. And you know what, subhanAllah, that is a lesson for us. A very crucial lesson, that if you feel like your iman is low, what should your instinct be? It should be to try and do some good deeds, like giving charity, or offering some prayers, or reading the Quran, or just sitting down and remembering Allah. And I guarantee you, if you do that, every single time that you feel a low in your faith, you will find that your iman increases. Yes, this is a hard and fast rule. So Allah says, number one success criteria is faith. And that's very important, because when I said to you, if behind this door is a very successful person, I'm sure many of you thought of a wealthy person, a person who has achieved a lot of things, maybe in terms of business, or in terms of education, or in terms of just things, worldly things in life. But subhanAllah, imagine if I transported you back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ in the early days of his da'wah. In the early days of his da'wah, the only people that followed the Prophet ﷺ were people of the lower class, were people like slaves, were people that had a low social standing. The kind of people that people point to and say, these are losers. Yeah. That is the type of people that followed the Prophet ﷺ in the beginning. Were they losers though? They're not losers, subhanAllah, they became our heroes. They became our heroes. They're the people that we aspire to be like. And the Prophet ﷺ said, بَدَأُ الْإِسْلَامُ غَرِيبًا وَسَيَعُودُ غَرِيبًا فَطُوبُوا لِلْغُرَبَاءِ. He said that Islam began as something gharib, something strange, something alien, something that people look down on. وَسَيَعُودُ غَرِيبًا. And later on it will return to being something strange and alien. I'm sure many of us feel like we're practicing something very strange in society when we go about our daily lives. That is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. But just because it is gharib, does it mean it is something something unsuccessful? No, of course not. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was young, he was disowned by his dad. Did you know that? When he was young, his dad disowned him and kicked him out the house. So he's a young man, he's closing the door, he's disowned, he's homeless, and he's got no money. Now, according to many, that is the very definition of a failure, isn't it? That is the very definition of a failure. But was Ibrahim alayhi salam a failure? Ibrahim alayhi salam is the very definition of success. He is celebrated as a hero. So this is why Surah Al-Asr is so important, because it is redefining your understanding of success. It is recalibrating it. It is showing you, you got it messed up. It's not success. This is success. Number one, iman. Number two is what? Aminu salihat. Now very interesting, the word used for good deeds. Salihat. Salihat comes from the root of salah. Not salah like praying, but salah with a ha at the end. And salah means something that is correct and appropriate. Allah said that acts of obedience are acts of salihat, which means that the things that you have to do as a Muslim, like offering prayers 5 times a day, are not just things that you must do, but they are the appropriate and correct way to live as a human being. As if to say that when you do the things that Allah wants you to do, you're not just doing the right thing, you are doing something that will make you happy, something that will make you feel pleasure inside. And that is what Allah said, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ, that it is in the remembrance of Allah that the hearts find a sense of peace and tranquility. So the second thing that makes you successful is your ibadah. Brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter how talented you are only as good as your salah. Did you know that? If you want to look in the mirror and say, am I a successful person? The way you would do that is you would say, how good is my salah? How much humility do I have in my prayer? How often do I pray on time? How many times do I miss salah? If the answers to those questions are depressing answers, then I'm afraid your success measure needs to be calibrated accordingly. But if the answer to the question is, alhamdulillah, my salah is good, I pray 5 times a day, I even pray when I'm at work, I even pray the sunnah prayers with it, I never miss a prayer and I pray on time. Now, what that means is that even if you're unemployed, even if you failed all your GCSEs, but if the answer to that question is, yes, then alhamdulillah, you are successful, even if your mom and dad say you're a failure. Alhamdulillah, that is what it means. Yes, so brothers and sisters, to be successful, we must work on our good deeds. Aminu salihat. Then the last 2 things. Allah then says, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, and they enjoin or encourage others to the truth. What does that mean? The truth can be understood to mean they encourage people to the Quran, they encourage people to Islam or to Allah or to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. In simple English, what that means is that you advocate the teachings of Islam to wider society. Now we live in a time of mind your own business culture, isn't it? Mind your own business. If people do things behind the confines of their own doors, then it's up to them. Let them do what they are doing. Mind your own business. But is that a Islamic culture to be like that? Live and let live. So long as I am doing what I'm supposed to do, if they decide to do something different, it's up to them. We live in a free country. Is that really the way of a Muslim though? Our Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadi, wa illam yastati' fa bilisani, wa illam yastati' fa biqalbihi, wa dhalika ad'afu al-iman." In an authentic hadith, he said, "Whoever amongst you sees an evil, he should change it with his hand." That's what he said. If you see someone doing something wrong, can you say, "Let me mind my own business"? Well, maybe if the guy's going to kill you for telling him what to do, but generally speaking, you can't say that. If you see someone in your workplace doing something wrong, like for example backbiting, how many people engage in gossip and backbiting at work? It's just the culture, isn't it? Yeah, you just, maybe you're in the staff room or in the canteen area at lunch, and everyone's having a good old gossip about John, who's not there. Yeah, and they're tucking into him more than they're tucking into their lunch. And you're the only Muslim there, and you're thinking to yourself, man, that's not right, man. You can't say that about John, even though what they're saying is true. You can't say that about him. But then you tell yourself, listen, just calm yourself down, okay? Don't say anything. Don't be the weirdo in this scenario. According to Surah Al-Asr, you can't tell yourself that. You have to tell people, listen, as much as we all like having a little chinwag about John behind his back, I don't think he would appreciate it. And to be honest, I think it's slightly immoral to do that as well. Is it now? Mr. Moro has turned up. Yeah, Mr. Maulana Sahib. Yeah, don't be a weirdo, man. Just having a little banter here. Isn't that what we're going to say? And you're going to look, it's going to be a socially awkward experience, isn't it? Standing up and saying the right thing at that moment. But you know what? You have to. You have to do it. You've got to choose the wise words. You got to say it in the least condescending manner, but you need to say it. If someone is behaving in an un-Islamic way, Muslim or non-Muslim, according to Surah Al-Asr, that's one of the very conditions that make you successful. That's not easy. Now in psychology, they say that either you are being influenced or you are influencing. There's no third way. There's no scenario where if you don't say anything, then you know what people are saying is not having any effect on you. In psychology, they say no. Either you are influencing someone or somebody is influencing you. There's no middle way. And Surah Al-Asr is telling us that you must be the influencer in any circle. You must be the one who is steering people towards the truth, whether that's direct or indirect. Now somebody may say that, you know what, I don't think I'm cut out for this da'wah thing, man. I ain't been on no da'wah course, okay? And to be honest, I don't like the idea of getting myself in trouble by doing da'wah as well. What advice can you give me? And I think as part of that is a genuine concern. I'm not a scholar of Islam. How am I going to go out there and tell people to start about Islam? Like, to be honest, it seems as though I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to speak on behalf of Islam, on behalf of Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. I can't say anything to anyone about Islam or Islamic teachings. What do you say in response to that question? Is he right? Is she right? To say that, you know what, I'm not qualified to say anything. So, count me out of this one. What do you think? Through your actions. Okay, my beard is a big enough statement, bro. To be honest, you know what? They don't really see that when they're talking about John behind his back. They see a man in a beard who's joining in. That's what they see. So sometimes your actions, or through your actions, even though it's a nice way of trying to reconcile, it doesn't really stack up. Especially when you think about what the Prophet said. مَنْ رَأَى مِنْكُمْ مُرْكَرًا فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ. If someone sees an evil, he must change it with his hand. If he can't, then with his tongue. If he can't, then he must hate it in his heart. And that's the lowest level of faith. So tell me, how would you respond to this question? I am not qualified. I can't go about telling people about Islam or Islamic teachings. What do you say to that? What do you say to that? Yep. You're nodding your head, or you're shaking your head, sorry. You don't agree, obviously, right? You have no idea what to say. Khair, inshallah. What about yourself? You disagree? Okay, I know. I think most people disagree, but why?
I'm not saying everyone knows the fundamentals, the basics.
Okay.
You can teach anyone the basics.
Everyone knows the basics and the fundamentals, and therefore you should be able to teach the fundamentals at least. Everyone should know. Right, okay. Yes, you're going to say something.
Teach people whatever knowledge you've learned. So pass on.
Very good. This is the simple answer. Listen, no one's telling you to become Shaykh al-Islam overnight. No one's telling you to become the bastion of Islam. All the Prophet ﷺ is telling us is that in your capacity and according to the level of knowledge that you have, you must decry and denounce evil when you see it. And you must encourage people to do the right thing according to what you know. And the thing is, everyone has knowledge. Everyone has a degree of knowledge. So when the Prophet ﷺ said, بَلِّغْ وَعَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, share from me something, even if it's a verse, he was saying that, listen, every one of you knows something about Islam. So according to what you know, you should teach. Yes, this is how we would answer that question. Now there's something else left. So not only do they encourage other people to the truth, which means to the teachings of Islam, they also وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. The last thing. The last thing is that they encourage others to sabr. Now what does that mean? Sabr here doesn't mean patience. Sabr here means steadfastness. And there's a beautiful link between between وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And that is that, think about it, if you're going to tomorrow go out there and start challenging people's beliefs and telling them what is right and wrong according to the teachings of Islam, what kind of reaction are people going to give you? Probably not a nice one, isn't it? You might get some abuse, people might start insulting you, people might even start harming you. So if that is going to be the reaction, what must you do next? وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. You must be steadfast. Yes, this is the consequence of giving da'wah, is that you are going to receive negative attention. And in order to maintain, you must be steadfast. Now Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he makes a very good point. He said, in the Quran we see that the disbelievers, they have sabr upon their falsehood. For example, Allah says, وَانْطَلَقَ الْمَلَأُ مِنْهُمْ أَنِمْشُوا وَاصْبِرُوا عَلَىٰ آلِهَتِكُمْ. That the leaders from amongst the disbelievers, when the messengers come, they say, people, go forth and have sabr on behalf of your gods. Meaning, be steadfast. So he says that if people who believe in falsehood or incomplete truths can show steadfastness for what they are upon, how much more so should Muslims who have the truth be steadfast and be upon determination and resolution. It applies to us even more. Yes? And this is a lesson. This is a lesson, brothers and sisters, that one of the keys to success in life is about being committed to a cause. And a lot of people find that very difficult. They find commitment very difficult. People, for example, that are involved in da'wah. You have a group of brothers and they want to do a project. Maybe they want to have a circle. Yes? Now the thing is, there's 3 brothers involved and each of them has a role. Then one brother goes AWOL. And you're like, bro, seriously, you got to be here, man. We need you to do your job. Why are you not picking up your phone? You're not returning our WhatsApp messages. I've seen the 2 blue ticks as well. You read my message, bro. But you're not here. We got a meeting. What's the brother doing? He's playing PS4. He's watching Netflix. He's too busy. He lacks commitment. People find that you find that in life, that people, that they lack commitment. And the thing is, people that are committed in life, you find that they reach the top. Even if it's to do with something outside of the religion. Successful business people, if you study the lives of CEOs of top companies, I read an article about the 6 top traits of CEOs of big companies. Okay, so like Google and Facebook and all the others, right? So one of the 6 things that they have as a trait is that they all wake up early in the morning. And now you're thinking, man, I will never be able to do this. 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, consistently every day. Yeah, the CEO of Google, that's the time he wakes up. Yeah, and he also says that in the middle of the night, sometimes I wake up to check my BlackBerry as well, just to see if I've got any emails and things like that. They all have this trait, wake up early in the morning. Why? Well, obviously the day excites them. That's one thing, isn't it? The prospects of the day that is about to unfold excites them. But also, the fact is that they know that being consistent and waking up early means that I'm going to beat other people. Because the early bird catches the worm. That's what they say, isn't it? And the Prophet ﷺ, he also told us that in the early morning there's barakah. In a hadith that some people say is weak, but no doubt through experience you can tell that that is true. That if you wake up early, you take ownership of that day. If you wake up late, you're always on the back foot. Yes? So this is the last criteria. And I'm just going to recap them, inshallah. What are the 4 things again? These are the 4 things that you need to be successful. Let us pay attention. Number 1, a person needs to work on their iman. If you want to be successful, you need to work on your iman. How do you work on your iman? One of the ways is to always educate yourself about the deen of Allah. Have a plan to learn, for example, how to recite the Quran with tajweed, or to learn Arabic, or to learn the meaning of the Quran, or to study the life of the Prophet ﷺ. It could be a self-taught thing. But what is better is to find a circle of people that are being taught by a qualified person and make that a part of your weekly habit. You and your family are always engaged in educating themselves about Islam. This is one thing. This is how you make your iman strong. Number 2, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Work on your ibadah. Forget about public life. Work on how good your prayers are. How good your recitation of the Quran. How often do you read the Quran? How often do you sit down and make dhikr of Allah? Do you do that every morning and evening? These are the things that will make you successful. Number 2, عَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Number 3, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. That you must in your life, everyday life, look around you and see opportunities to advise people about doing the right thing. Start with your own family first. Your own family, your own brothers, your own sisters, your own mother, your own father, your own children. Don't be someone who preaches outside, but in his home, he doesn't care what happens. No. Look for those opportunities. And according to what you know, do the right thing and tell people. And number 4 is to be committed Muslim. Someone who shows commitment, determination, and resolution. These are the heroes. These are the people that are successful in life. That they believe in a cause, they practice what they preach, and they are steadfast. In life, people, for example, are part of civil rights movements. This is their life. They believe in a cause, they practice it, meaning they live by that, and they preach it. They go out there and they actively tell other people about it and call them to it, and then they remain steadfast when people try to derail them from that. May Allah make us successful in our life. May Allah give us these qualities and make us people that are people of Surah Al-Asr. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خير. بارك الله فيكم.